Call the order at 6:33.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Roxanne Teskey in here. Tracy Dunn-Marvelette here.
Michael Green here.
Bonnie Cannon here. Approval of minutes for May 12th and May 21st. I have read them. Any discussion? Motion to
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from May 12th, 2025.
Mike second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Yeah. Power up generator contract.
That was only for the 12th, I said, Tracy. Can you add the 21st to that as well?
Oh, I thought you said both.
No, I said the 12th. I forgot about the 21st.
2 seconds.
I did.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the 12th and the 21st?
Aye.
Aye. Who was for?
So that's just, yeah, so that's the contract we have for the company coming in to do the maintenance to the generator. So,
Because they were coming in, right? They
Yeah.
talked about it.
yep, they come in, it's been maintained, this is for going forward.
So do we have to make a motion on this because they come already?
Yeah, they've come already, this is for going forward. It's, it's just,
I was gonna say, I don't know.
it's right here, we have 890 per year, which is.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we go ahead and sign the power generator contract.
For $890.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, I don't need to read it.
That requires one signature.
And then. So these are
Just
just the,
every 90 days, okay.
yeah, and then the other ones are just the codes that happen, if there's just people sign them here, sign them on our behalf. It's just that, something from going to personnel file.
Is this everybody from the fire department now?
I didn't have to check this off.
I hope so.
Bonnie.
Thank
One month.
Junkyard license application?
Yeah, it's all been filled out by Carl and checked with the so it's just we need your city, just one hour.
Yep, this one for 91 Kings Highway. Do you want to see it? E911.
Tab and Emily from the outreach program, and we recently volunteered to be with this one in the program.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We have a PowerPoint and no projector, so
Oh.
we can spin this around, but we're going to kind of stand up and present to you for anyone in the residents in town.
Okay.
If you want to see it, we can.
Actually, maybe you can put on that table, we need to this way, or you can see it.
You got it. Try our best without a projector, but thank you for having us today. My name is Patrick Kaplan, I'm a Public Information Officer for the Hampshire Valley Board. Thank you for having us here today. Want to introduce yourself?
Emily Hutchins, I am a supervisor in 911. I oversee our CARES program.
Yeah, so as we said, we're here to present on our 911 CARES program, or Citizens Assistance Registry for emergency services, which I think will have value for your residents here in town. I'll start with a little bit of just a generic overview on what we do as a division, as an agency at 911. Maybe some things about our framework here in New Hampshire that you might not know. But being mindful of your time, I'll stay involved for the time for employees while they go over the CARES program. But New Hampshire 911 in a nutshell, last year we took about 422,000 calls. So here in New Hampshire, we're a statewide 911 system compared to what you see maybe on TV or in the movies. Excuse me. Where 911 is answered maybe at the county level or in your town. But here in New Hampshire, 911 calls are answered in two places, two public safety answering points or 911 call centers. Concord and Laconia. It doesn't matter where you live in New Hampshire, just because we may be closer to one or the other right now, it's a 50-50 chance of calling 911 and getting either facility. So people call in and say, I have a town hall, more of that supplemental location and information is what we have on our mapping, but also what we ask the caller to do. So 911 is answered at just those two places of the 422,000 calls per year between the two centers. About 81% of our calls that come into 911 are from cell phone, and that number continues to grow and grow every year, with the number of landlines continuing to decrease year over year. So what that means with more cell phone calls coming in is more uncertain that exact location is when it comes into 911. So we just a quick public service announcement to try to always be aware of your surroundings. Not knowing, when an emergency could strike any one of us. Location is the most important thing that we need to get called to. So when you call 911, we do have an approximate idea of where you are. Our mapping can show us, I say we call from town hall here, maybe it shows us in the parking lot, maybe it shows us, over this building, right? But how to get them through the front door to your exact location. If you're in a multi-level building, if you're in a congested area right down in Manchester, or in an apartment building, what floor am I on, what unit am I in? All of that information can play a huge difference when just a few seconds count in an emergency. And lastly, one thing to talk about is that 99% of those 422,000 calls that we answered last year were answered within the first 10 seconds. So that national benchmark is right about 85% of our calls, but we're virtually answering all but 1% of those calls within the first 10 seconds, which is quicker than you calling one of your cell phones and getting your voicemail. So help is getting where the caller is getting the help that they need very fast, which is good here in New Hampshire. And we're transferring that call out to the local dispatch agencies, which we'll talk more in a minute. Those are the ones who talk to the crews on the road. So again, Laconia and Concord are the locations of our 911 call centers. I could be sitting in the Concord call center, call 911 from any cell phone or a desk phone. 50-50 chance of getting either location, like we said. Having the two allows us to have redundancy in our 911 call taking, so that 911 can stay up whether something would happen in one facility or the other. We try to keep them evenly staffed, so that again, if we have something happen at one call center, we have still strongly staffed up in the other to maintain call taking operations. All of our call takers, when you call 911, they go through 16 weeks of training before they're even on the phone. So you have a highly trained 911 call taker helping you every single time. Part of that training starts in the classroom, getting their certification to answer those 911 calls. Then goes on to on-the-job training, working with one of our other 911 call takers. And they work through that process so they can have a confidently trained call taker. Not somebody who's just nervous on their first day answering your call. So how does it work? So I mentioned 911 and I mentioned local dispatch. So unlike on TV, 911 here in New Hampshire isn't playing that role of talking to the caller and talking to the police, fire, EMS crews out on the road. There's a local dispatch for each town or city in the state of New Hampshire. So I'm actually not sure who the local dispatch is here in this town. It's usually at the county level for smaller towns. The bigger cities usually have their own dispatch, but it makes sense that we're at the county level here. So I know a lot of people may not be able to see this workflow, so I'll talk through it. So we'll start with some sort of emergency. Right here we have somebody who may be cardiac arrest. They call 911. That comes to us in Concord or Laconia. We then take all of that information, primarily the nature of the emergency and the location of the emergency, and pass that on to that local dispatch agency who is then tasked with talking to the police, fire, EMS crews out on the road. So it allows us as 911 to stay in line and provide patient care instructions for medical emergencies. So anything from bleeding control, childbirth instructions, you name any medical emergency. Childbirth, I think, was another one. I didn't mention that. Staying on the line and providing those care instructions, help the patient while they wait for the ambulance arrive, and allow the 911 call taker to focus on the patient and not coordinating all the logistics behind the scenes. So why do I need to know my location, right? I talked about this before. More of our cell phones calling, we're not getting an exact address like we would with a landline. How many people have a landline in here still? I think that's the most hands I've seen in the room. The landline phones have an address associated with them, so when you call in, we know exactly where that landline is located. So if you have a landline available, you should always make that call from the landline. Everybody's got a cell phone in their pocket now, so that's not always the most practical thing.
I'm just curious, I know my phone is asking to put in my location. Does that help you at all, or is that just from the cell phone company, whatever they're doing?
I've actually never had somebody say that their phone asked them specifically to put in their location, so I'd be curious to look into that. I can chat with you after our presentation to see what that might look like. Because a lot of times, like, people are like, oh, well, AT&T has my billing statement, so they know where I live. We can only get that sort of information, the subscriber information, under exigent circumstances. So, like for death, think maybe parent calls in and a child has been missing. That's what's called a ping. And not to get too detailed because on the presentation. But everyone thinks that 911 can ping their phone. We can use the cell towers, only the cell carriers themselves can conduct that ping and get the exact coordinates of the device. Sorry, I confused everybody in the presentation. But things that people don't look for when they call in, again, being aware of your surroundings doesn't mean knowing the exact address of where we are right now, right? Knowing it as a landmark, business names that might be nearby, if you're in a multi-level building, what floor are you on, all these things to just stay cognizant of when you're out and about. Knowing what trail you're on, you'd be surprised how many people go out hiking, call 911 because they've experienced some sort of emergency and have no idea what trail they're on. So all these things happen. One of the last things I want to talk about is text 911. Anybody here know you can text 911? Maybe one person to people? So texting 911 has actually been around since 2015. It's an extremely underutilized capability. Obviously, just like I'm talking to each of you now, texting 911 or calling 911 is a faster way to get help, but texting is great for situations where you can't speak, it's unsafe to speak, maybe a low battery or poor cell service. Anything where maybe a text could use less bandwidth to get out than a phone call would. And again, a lot of people, I'd say probably 8 out of every 10 people I talk to still don't know that this is a feature. We have seen the number increase, but it's just, again, another PSA that I show to every crowd I talk to. Accidentally calling 911. This is another one that sees every crowd. I think human instinct nowadays, when you accidentally call 911, is to hang up as fast as you can and pretend like it never happened. I know people that work at 911 do that. So we try to fight that urge if you can, because whether you think you ninja fast and beat us on the phone, that call comes up on our screens before even they start ringing. So we do have to answer every call. I said we answered 99% the first 10 seconds. Usually someone's like, well, what about after that? About that remaining 1% gets erased out when you extend that to 15 seconds, but there is a chance of calling 911 and getting some form of pre-recorded message that I haven't heard before. But your call gets left in the order that it was received, and we have to answer it whether you were on the other end of the line or not. So, like the earthquake that we had a few weeks ago, or probably a month or 2 ago now, that generated a day's worth of calls for us in an hour. So we're not going to get to all of those right at the same time, right? We're going to try and get through as many of those as we can very quickly. But some people think, oh, they're not answering me. I'm just going to hang up and call back. But that's like if you were in line, out the door, and just step down the line and put yourself all the way back in the line. Try and stay on the line if you're in that situation. Similar story, stay on the line and you accidentally call. We have to answer that call anyway. We'll try to call you back or text you back if we don't answer. But we treat every call like an emergency as well. We want to make sure that you're not experiencing an emergency. Last thing before I turn it over to Emily, it's very small here. I'm sure many people have seen this screen anyway. You can dial 911 from any locked phone. So I see Emily left her phone on the table. If there's an emergency, you can use it. Every smartphone nowadays has a feature where even if you don't know the password, right, the security camera about kids at home, they don't need to know your password, right? They just can know that look for the big E in emergency to call 911. So you can use any phone, stranger's phone, a phone just sitting there on the table. There's a phone available to you. That's a resource to use any smartphone in an emergency situation. Again, it's something that a lot of people don't know is there. They see it every day, right, when they're going to punch in their password. It doesn't call 911 automatically. That specific button, it brings up a screen where you can punch in 911 and you can ring call button. That's it for my sort of education part of 911, and now I'm going to turn it over to Emily for the CARES program.
So at 911, our goal is to locate, communicate, connect people in an emergency with the help that they need. One of the tools that we use to do that is our CARES Citizens Assistance Registry for Emergency Services Program. This allows an individual to register their address and health conditions under their phone number. If they call 911 from that registered number, that information will show immediately to our telecommunicators. This will save a lot of time in questioning and also getting help on the way to that individual. So I'm going to just go through what the process of registering looks like. It is very quick and easy. This program has been around in a way since the late 1990s. It used to be called Supplemental Alley, and it was all through paper. We revamped that about 3 years ago and put it all online so that anybody can register any time of day. If there's any changes, you can go over the weekend. You can log on to CARES and change your address, and that will update in our system immediately. So saving time. You can log on online at cares.besc.nh.gov. The website is set up to be used on both mobile device and on laptop or computer. So once you log in, you will have to set up your email address and password, and setting up a new account. We send an email to verify your account. You have to click on the links provided to get the website to work. So once you go through all of the emails we send you in that initial registration process, then you'll be able to go back online and log in under the email and password you just set up. So there are two things with CARES. So there's the account holder and the CARES individual. The account holder is the person monitoring the account and entering the information. None of the information in the account holder screen will show to our dispatchers. So if you're registering your own information, you'll need to enter the information twice, first under account holder and then under CARES individual. Account holders can be family members, they can be healthcare providers, even if you're just a friend and your friend asks you to monitor the account because they don't have access to online or anything, you can do that for your friend. So then once all the account holder information is set up, it will take you right to the CARES individual page. All the information that is required will be marked. We do ask for full name, date of birth so that the telecommunicators know the age of the individual calling, and the home address. And then the next page will be the pre-approved conditions. So we had a team from 911 sit down and go through all of the conditions that drastically impact how they handle a call. So one of them is hearing impairment or deaf. So that drastically impacts the call. If they answer and nobody's talking back to them, they can know that's not just somebody hanging up. Someone's probably on the other end of the line and can't hear them. And they're able to dispatch emergency services accordingly to the information that's provided. We do have 3 conditions on there that do require additional information. One is behavioral concerns, one's medication allergy, and then there is another option for if your condition is not listed. So if your condition is not listed, we still encourage you to register. There may be times when we do not accept that registration because we already have methods set up for that specific condition. One of them is cardiac issues. So all of our dispatchers are trained for those 16 weeks on how to handle cardiac calls. And the reading through the cares will take longer than going through their protocol for cardiac. But we do encourage you to register. If for some reason we can't approve that, we will let you know why and move on from there. And then this is the other option. The other things that we recommend is just any access information. So if you want emergency services to be able to get into your house, you can give the code or let us know where the key is. You can also, we encourage parents, if parents are registering children with cognitive disabilities, to include calming methods so that we can relay that to responding agencies. Also, a good one for that would be if someone is sensitive or the sounds of sirens will agitate the child more, we can put that in and let the responding agency know that that would escalate the situation. And then the next page is the phone numbers. So once you get here, you have to click the add phone number. You add the phone numbers individually. You can add as many phone numbers as you need to. So say you have in a house that has 5 phones, you can register all of those 5 phones. You can also use the same number for different individuals. So if you have 2 people and they're the same one and same household, and they still have a home phone, you can use that home phone for both pairs of individuals, and both names will show up to our dispatchers with all the information. And then you'll see the congratulations screen and everyone has been registered. If it is a pre-approved condition, it will automatically go into our system. If you click one of those 3 or you add additional information, it goes into a review status and one of our team reviews that, and then 9 times out of 10 puts it into an approved status, and then it goes into the system. CARES registrations now have an expiration date. They are valid for 18 months. At 17 months, we'll reach out and just check and see if the information is still valid. All you have to do is log into your account and just renew the information. And then it's good for another 18 months. At 18 months, we'll reach out again if you have not done that and let you know that the information has been taken off. And say at 22 months you realize you never did it, you can log in and still do it. That information does not get deleted. The other question that we get is, what if I just do not have access to email, or my grandmother wants to register, she does not have email? If there is no one to monitor that account, we will monitor that account for them. We will mail them a form, they have to fill out the form, mail it back to us, and then we become the account holder for them. It still expires at 18 months, but instead of sending emails, we will call the individual, and then depending on if they want to still be in CARES account, we'll renew it for another 18 months. And that is all. Does anyone have any questions about CARES? Yes, sir.
I saw the category you mentioned, behavioral conditions. Does that also encapsulate mental health conditions? I know sometimes it's a real challenge for law enforcement to how to respond sometimes when there's a person who's experiencing with significant things like that.
That is exactly what that is.
Okay, cool.
I realize too that we probably do what we normally do, an hour-long presentation with a projector where you could see all of our web addresses, all of the conditions and listed on the laptop screen in about 25 minutes. if this is something maybe in your community groups or in your circles that would make sense for us to present there too, please certainly catch up with me here before we leave. I'm happy to give you my contact information. Because, if this is something that Emily and I can't speak at length, we just want to be mindful of your time here.
So I have a question. Do you have, so other communities, do you have a lot of engagement, meaning a lot of people signing up on this?
Lake Text 911 is not very well known. So right now, we have just under 1,000 registrations on file. It is something that we are actively trying to get word out about in the communities. But we are getting a warm reception to it, yes.
No, I mean, I think it's great, and I think it's something that maybe we can work with, like our EMTs and spears. We do have probably some people who need to go to more often, and so it might be worth because that information comes up. But I think it's also a good maybe to reach out to maybe the school as well, because parents could, especially if kids have, sensory issues or whatever. No, I think it's good. It's just how to get it out there, kind of get it rolling. Right?
Yes.
Do you have brochures or anything?
I actually do have some left. Get along.
It's on the EMS body every time I love listening to EMS.
Fantastic. Yeah, make sure it's on.
Can you have that presentation sent to us so that I can get it out in minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. What is 988?
So 988, I don't know the exact location. It brings into their organization now. But that transfer process has become seamless now between 988 and 911. Should 988 be transferred for something safety related into 911? Or if someone calls 911 and maybe just needs someone to talk to, that seamless transfer out to 988 is also there.
That was kind of like one of my questions. Would you be interested in speaking during the presentation at the Stratford County Mental Health Center, the community partners or other outlets like that that have a lot of service to developmentally disabled or mental health clients?
Absolutely. Be fantastic.
Anybody else?
Yes, it is CARES. DESC. NH.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
You're thinking of We're going to move up the contract with Casella. You're next.
Surprise. Yeah.
Hi, so for the record, my name is Tony Belanger. I'm from Casella Waste Services, former Bernard Waste Systems. And I've been with the town since 5 years. So I'm the one that developed the program at Bernard. And set it all up in town with the current system.
Yes, thank you for coming. Any questions?
So our contract is with Casala, was what Pinard as well.
It's a while.
Yeah.
So now it's transfers over.
To Casala.
Yeah, you successfully went through the assumption process, which is just a formality.
Yeah.
Basically, just you saying that you understood we were not whole in our contract,
Yeah.
and us saying that same thing, we're going to do what that's Casella, what we promised everyone.
So our contract is getting ready to expire, and we were looking to
quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started the process back in December, but things happen.
Yeah.
But I didn't worry too much about it. I mean, you know, we realized that that there was some kind of a lag in the process, and that happens often. It's not uncommon. So, you know, even if you wanted to go out to an RFP process and come up with a mutually agreeable extension for whatever period of time you need to do that, as you wish. Hopefully not. And then, just to keep it very brief, because the real question right now is there is in our industry, the whole industry is trying to get away from manual labor for what I think is completely understandable. Everyone knows this situation now. It's hard to find workers, and especially when it involves physical labor. And it has subsequently changed the cost structure of our industry for this type of service. For many, many years, I mean, I've been almost 40 years now, this is my 40th year. And I started in the back of the truck at Menard doing this type of work. And so back then, you could not beat the price of a rear-wheel truck with a driver and a laborer on it. And these days, you can't beat the truck with the price of a single-person truck using a depth joystick and picking up automated cars. It's just the nature of technology and our way to do things in the country, where you're not so much you want to work smarter, not harder, I guess. And so pricing has kind of come to that point where it passed the tipping point several years ago. It was even for a while, and now it's definitely an advantage to go with automated collection versus manual collection. So what I would propose that we do for you, and we're all ready to do this, is to present you with two quotes, one for same and one for automated. We can blend into it. This is a new thing that's been happening. Brentwood's going through this right now. They have a current contract, and we negotiated in the middle of that contract to blend in automated services at a lower rate. And at the timeline that makes sense to get it done right. So in their case, it's going to be August 1st. In your case, if you decide to go that way, it's going to be November. They're a very small town in terms of getting that service in place. So I personally have delivered 1,000 cards in 2 days myself with you guys. So I wanted that, that's how quickly we enjoy it. So it's more of a discussion of answering everybody's questions. Everyone's got a lot of questions from the early cards. Am I going to lose something? How's it going to work at my house? You know, I live on a dead-end street, or a one-way street, etc. So we go through the process of looking at the numbers and then getting all the questions, putting it out to your population to be able to respond and participate in the conversation and figure it out. And then come back to us and answer all those questions. Solutions, if there are solutions, sometimes there aren't, but that's good for you.
Yeah, how quickly the turnaround is that we can get like the two quotes? Would you have those available?
Within a week.
I am understanding.
I recognize your voice.
Yeah, so I mean, from my standpoint, it would be like, how soon could we get the quotes so that we could look at it?
I did one today already. It took me an hour and a half. So I have to get them approved.
Yeah.
But again, it's all about truck hours, fuel, labor costs, disposal costs. That's where you're seeing a big change since the start of this contract. You got a 5-year escalation on disposal costs. And a lot's happened in 5 years. That's 5 years old. But you can get it on a landfill. And then those are getting very hard to find. So therefore the cost of landfill and incineration is going up fairly quickly because of where you live and you don't have a lot of real estate. So, but yes, within days.
What about bulk pickup? Would we still have twice a
Yeah,
year?
that was the annual collection, yeah. We would just go back, it's the nice thing about how we set this up, having the Tuesday, Friday pickup is those two birds with one stone. People always put their trash out late, it happens, life happens. We only go once a week. Now that we go a week, we get collected, or we gotta get way out of our way from Raymond and Hampshire over the year, or wherever our base is. They come back and help something out if they forgot to put it out, or if we get something, right? And, well, we get 2 days of service. Commission on Tuesday, or the road's blocked, or it's icy, or whatever, we come back on Friday. You will be able to do the same thing with your bulky. We'll continue to have a Tuesday, bulky twice a year, if that's your wish. Seems to be working pretty good. And then a Friday bulky for those other streets that are on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
When does the current contract expire?
6:30.
June 30th?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
About how much are each of your carts? The buggy, cart?
The bins.
There's-
Trap hours.
No, I'm sorry, I know what you meant. I don't know what you mean.
Like-
How much money or how?
How much money?
Well, I'm sure that's gonna be incorporated in the,
Yeah, they break it, that's what's made it more affordable is the cost of cars. You can lend out over 5 or 10 years, that 10-year warranty, no questions asked to come with it. So, a lot of people in the past didn't want to put the upfront capital expenditure on a line item. They're about, let's say they're $75, okay, just to use a close number, that includes the purchase and the delivery and registry and all that. So it's not just a car. A car is probably about 55. But then you've got, you got to assemble them, you got to deliver them, you got to put a sticker on them, the brochure and all that stuff, and some labor involved there. But then you blend that out with some interest over 5 years, and that's how it makes the numbers work. So, yeah. In layman's terms, you're losing a laborer's salary and benefits to pay for those things.
and that's the offset.
That's the offset.
That's just all it means, the offset. Okay.
Why are we gonna pick up something like, oh, well, because now, and trust me, the kid in the back of the truck, he's in high demand. We can use him anywhere, every day, we need 10 more of them. So no one's gonna lose their job. And that was a big year in the past too. So, boy, technology's taking over my job, right? That's not the case. So, yeah, they're about 70 to $75 worst case, depends on what size you
But what I'm hearing, and I think this is what, most people are asking, is that cost of the bins that everybody, residents has to have is going to be offset by the cost of losing the person off the back of the truck, that it's gonna offset. It's not gonna be 100%
But it's
one.
in perpetuity. So, once the cart's picked off, right, now all you have is general maintenance and road. So your town starts having road spur, okay, you start taking the farms and chopping up into, condo to neighborhoods or attack neighborhoods. You can see some growth, and of course every year you have more carts than you need, but you guys are pretty sneaky over here. And you had 46 homes. I think you were, I'm not even sure if you're still there or not, but it's pretty close.
So is that typically like one bin per household?
So In towns that don't have recycling, we recommend, and this is not a mandate, but it's a recommendation for everyone to get a 95 gallon bin, except for people that really don't want one that big, elderly, empty next semester, one bagger, right? They don't have a lot of kids at home, they don't go out shopping anymore, so a 65 gallon bin is more than sufficient for them. And so typically, we would set up as part of that process to recognize, usually bring trouble down, right? All the Rotary Club, the fire department, whatever you like. Middleton, the lumber company. Middleton Lumber. And, you know, wherever you guys think it's a good place for people to be able to go view them. And hey, don't say anything if you want the 95, but let us know if you want the 65, because the majority is always going to be the bigger one, right? That I can tell you that just from statistics and
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that we get all the time, and this thwarts a lot of these programs, is the fear that 95 gallons is enough. You know what I mean? And so typically what we recommend is that 95 be the ordinance or the rule, but then having a low-cost supplement at the cost of the homeowner. So if you want an extra barrel, fine, you can have one. We'll pick it up with our 900 carts, so you'll get our buying power, which, you know, it's like it's usually 1/3 the cost in a municipal program to what it would be for them to rent it privately from a small guy and walk and do an extra barrel for them. And it's on the same day, at the same time, and it's all coordinated. So I'll give you some examples like Hudson, Middleton, Hampstead, and Bow are the four that I came up with a subscription program in our, we call it Yellow Club. And for $215 a year roughly, you get an additional Yellow Club card. And that tells everybody in town, hey, I paid for this card. I'm not cheating, I'm paying. And then 43% of that money goes to the town to offset their increased disposal costs of that particular well. So there really isn't a concern for people that have hardships. Like I got, all my kids came back from college and decided they wanted to stay. It was easier to live with us than it is to club and buy my own house. And that happens, right? For a number of reasons, right? So that's one of the things that, I know you have a healthy Facebook page now, or a newspaper, one of those things, but when people start asking questions, you know, how we look at other towns that have done it and see, you know, those types of
So the additional, so if somebody wanted an additional bin or whatever, that all goes directly through Casella, okay, that's not the perfect.
Yeah, and you'll have some examples that you can look at brochures from other towns that spell it out crystal clear.
No, I mean, I just think it's, then they don't have to worry about it.
No, they call us, we set them up, we take their money, we deliver their card. The only thing that's kind of strict about it is, although we prorate on the day that we always start on your anniversary date, so 7/1, you're paying for a year in advance. So 7/1 to June 30th of next year, use your subscription program period. That's a $250, that's 12 months. If they were to sign up in October, we would divide it by 12 and then multiply it by, and then charge them a proration for the initial delivery. But after that, there's no money back. You can't say, you know what, I don't need it anymore. Because you've already, you know, this is a no-frills program. You've already distributed the money to the town. We've already delivered it. We have to remove it. And so it's not a, you know, I buy it, I return it like Amazon. You've got it until the next anniversary, and at that point, you say, you know what? I don't want it anymore. I don't want to renew. I don't need it anymore. So.
Kate?
What happens if something happens to your bin? Is it just a one-to-one replacement?
So there's most towns have, they want to own cars, brand cars for themselves, right? And put the Middleton Town seal on it, so that everyone knows this is your car you want. You won't be renting cars from us, and then eventually having to, paying that rental fees over and over. Like I said, that 10-year warranties, I've got one since 2007, almost 20 years ago, right? And they're still going strong. Replacing the old because of car, keeping it up, body tracks, but that's what we recommend to the town, that either you can actually live replacement and go through the DPW, or if they really push back there, or it's not their thing, then we will give you a rate to do that for you. And I have one for the town of Bow that I just reviewed with them, where they decided after many years of automated collection that they didn't want to manage their own car repairs anymore. So they asked the respondents to come in and give pricing for wheels, lids, broken cars, stolen cars, and new homes, where we buy the cars and we charge them to the town. So it makes them own the car. And then the residents now call us and we give it to the and it's got a fee schedule on it, so we should have to do something to see, what it looks like for the town.
So there is a warranty, but we would be replacing the parts unless we went with that program.
So, everything on the car is warranty, including so getting the parts would be under warranty, warranty it's not but there's they go by serial number, so when we take a cracked part and we bring it back, we just call the company, email the company and say, hey, this one, send us another one. In the meantime, we just give you one out of it.
Right.
And they're putting that back into your resource. So for lids and wheels, I'll have to find out how that process works. I don't remember.
Okay.
But I can figure it out. But yes, you have your inventory. The parts are 100% the crack, the body of the car. I'm just not so sure about the lids and wheels, how that works.
Okay. I'm just going off of questions that we had one of your competitors here a couple weeks ago. So another question I had was, do they all have ID numbers on them? And you're telling me yes. So should someone get a second cart and those carts stay with the address and someone moves out, can they stop that going into the next year, or that's forever for that home? Say a new,
Subscription program?
yeah, so they can be done June 30th?
So no. So there's two things that can happen in that situation. That had happened the other day, actually. Someone moved 4 months prior to their subscription running out.
Yep.
So they gifted, I think they gifted the car to the new people. But really, all they had to do was just tell the new people to turn it in after 4 months.
Yep.
We don't process stuff like changing the name unless the new people want to set up an account at the beginning of the next year. In which case, we would make them their own account, turn it into their own vehicle, just leave the barrel there. So you can either voluntarily just have us remove it, they're not getting the money back.
Yep.
Or you can gift it or sell it to the people who are your house. Other than that, at the end of the subscription period, when we reach out for more money, you're not going to give it to us. You're going to live it.
Yep. The only other question I had was, could you also do up a quote for month to month we're still in the process of obviously talking about this issue, and it is June now.
This
So,
is what I mentioned.
yeah.
That.
Yeah.
We can give you a extension number if you want it to be month to month. I guess what the town knew this point to get away with, the problem we've been running into is this. I won't mention any names, but we just rebid the town of Franklin, okay, which in our for 5 years, very similar to this, it's only on okay, 4 days a week, about 4,000 people, 4,000 cars a week. And they put the RFP out in February, and the competitors over us, who already have a truck in place and a driver in place, all said, can't do it, sorry, it's too short notice. So it takes about 18 months to buy a truck in this, okay? And so there's some moving parts that go along with it. So what we've offered with Franklin is to give them like extension so that they can have time to create, allow that those RFP people to back up and come back in and present the monitor. You know, of course, we're asking that they don't make power on the public.
Yep.
Because of the competitive disadvantage. So they're not signing the contract or anything like that until, obviously, until that happens. So they're actually talking tonight about that. They have the meeting, I mean, so we've been saying, but I would recommend a longer period, unless the competitors that you're speaking with are telling you something like this, you could get automated or manual in a couple of months notice, whatever they say.
Yeah.
You want to have as many responders as possible. So,
Yeah.
might do that's so yeah, that's the whole purpose. It wasn't fair for you to be able to, even back in October when I first started looking for this conversation, it still would have been short, right? October through July.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough for someone to buy a truck and not a pizza. So we kind of realized that it's going to come down to this. We'll work with you. We obviously have to come to you with our increased costs over that period of time. All we'll be able to pay is ignore right now in the current contract and we'll charge it. So, because cost of disposal is now higher than the estimated cost that we put into the contract. So, yeah.
Danielle?
So we have a couple of private roads in town that are not maintained by the town. And so mine would be, what are you going to do, or what was recommendation for those roads in the winter when we just take our bags out to the end of the road and they swing in, grab the bags, and, oh, we can't, we could, or someone could drag those barrels up to the top of the end of the road.
Or you can just leave them there, but these are the square peg ramp holes I'm talking about.
Correct.
And they're really, the answer to the question is you don't want to impede the success of the town getting lower costs because you have a few areas like, I say I know every one of them like the back of my hand, but it's way off the third one that goes up and around the loop.
That would be dangerous.
That would be
So when I go up there, is the previous carrier had started a, kind of a general practice in the winter of going up to the port, started going up and around the hill. And everybody was putting their stuff down at the bottom of that circle. So it's a deer run or?
Yeah, we always put up top. At the bus stop, there's a little bus shed there. We put it across from that. Right there. Like 153, and you gotta go on either to the left or right. I don't know how to say it. Right in one.
So when I just take it right up here, I would go dirt road.
You go down the hill, and then it goes into a circle.
my confusing, so when the school on that road there.
There's Pine Ridge, but Pine Ridge doesn't have a. Yeah, Pine Ridge is straight through, well, it's straight, there's no.
This is the one that goes up and around, there's some trailers on the back end of it.
Yeah, that's.
Really ugly dirt road on the back.
They're trying.
Well, for a truck driver, you know what I mean, for our size truck.
Yeah.
It's, for a car, probably not so bad. But if I go up, I go around, I get a little offshoot off to the right.
Yeah,
down,
yeah.
And this is what I'm talking about, down at the bottom, before you start your lines out, okay? That's where they were putting the stuff, because you could make like a hill, a lot of times. When I first started, that's what they were doing. And I don't know what they're doing now, but changed it, I know we're not going up.
So you wouldn't even go, you basically go right on the road, turn around, all back in, and it's right there. They weren't even attempting to go down the hill, which we were fine with. So, like, they would just like pull in or back in, and we'd have right there. They wouldn't even go downhill to the line. They would just, we would have it right there.
Yeah. So, yeah, with that road, we would have to do that one and the other one, on, and there's one other one too.
Eau Claire.
Those are the four bad boys. And, you know, we have to just work with it and find a solution and, you know, do the best we can. You know, I mean, sometimes I've had encountered, you know, created, designated areas right there, but I personally drove the first winter up to that circle, and I would not go up and around, but I could go, I could turn around and back up and say, we'll drop stuff down the bunker hill. And that's where they all at, and that's where we, which management is one for us. And they started that process when I first got here, that's how that all they were going to go. So, we wouldn't go, that's kind of, that's the problem with that.
No, I've been there for 7 years, and I always talk to the guys in October, November, and I say, okay, when you're going to stop coming down the hill? And they say, oh, this is, and they go around and tell the reason. As of this day, you got to stop putting it up at the top of the hill. I said it's up the hill 153, like right there. So I think what you're going down the hill, I'm really going down the hill, yeah.
I think it's straight up. So thinking around those, but get a circle, comes back around, right? There's some trailers, type house.
They might be like this one.
Coming down the right side. When you go up the right side, it's pretty easy.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got a right-hand turn, and those people will bring it up to us.
Yeah.
Okay, but we won't back down. No, we don't. No, we won't be free. So those people, that little right-hand turn out the hill, those people bring it up, you know, sometimes.
That's right.
Yes, it's just.
So you can go down
I
there,
don't want
take
to
a wrong,
so that's why.
you stop right there.
Yeah.
Trucks there.
They have cars.
They pull out.
95 gallon.
Right.
Turn it into a.
So until we have one like that where we put shared receptacles, and so that people can get used, you don't have a lot of real estate taking up cars. If you get 20 houses, you don't have that 20 cars, you probably get away with 8. And then you can pick them up once you get cars. That's the question. But everyone doesn't have, you guys don't know if you just bring a barrel, and we're nothing more often. Because we're in town. So there's always some way to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, just have to go to each one. Yes, I know you have 4 of them, so. Any other questions?
No, more select.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
So,
I just have one question. You have all your costs all laid out, right, where you're paying now?
We love to think that.
Yes.
yeah,
This isn't perfect, but
close enough.
that I used in my model that I did today, see where you're at in terms of inflation.
Okay.
And so I'm going to show one of your.
Sure.
So you've got your this is from June 30th of 24, which is the month of May.
Yep, right.
Month of June, sorry. So June through May.
Yeah.
So 12 months worth. And here's what you're on. your monthly rate for collection.
Right.
For the
Which
pickups.
is just a flat.
Yeah.
Yes, and then you've got your fuel fees, what your fuel fees were for that same period of time. And then you've got your disposal, the number of tons that you produce for that period of time.
Yeah.
You go to the second page.
Tracy would be happy to share.
It comes down to,
Yeah.
it's on,
So,
did I get
that's
this?
the-
No, it's on this. Oh, here, it's right there, 89,000, see, it just beat the top there.
Yeah.
And then these are your two adult pickups, which
Yeah.
I think they didn't charge you for, so you're probably gonna get surprised for that one.
It wasn't picked up.
Huh?
It wasn't picked up.
And then, yeah, well, lots of that's really what it's worth, right, but,
Yeah.
for the year, about 200 grand of money. So, do you have that? And then there's two more here you can,
Oh, okay.
I also have this in Excel, so if you want to email it to me. So are you,
I'm like,
you're Mike, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't sure, I said, oh, Tim?
Tim too, yeah.
Yeah.
Tim's not here tonight. I use that word.
So tell me, so we would be looking for at least two quotes from you.
As soon as you can. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let them know.
Send me what that.
They, you know, they,
No, I mean,
yeah, they really, they want to keep
yeah.
automated is not for you.
No, I think it's, I mean, I think it's great. I think it's just gonna take a little bit of an adjustment for people. Some people don't like change.
We just want to tell everybody first, you know, go into carts and,
Right. Yeah, so if you could give us the quotes on both, that would be great.
awesome, thank you for coming.
I'm not sure if it's the, how much it would cost for it, go after for it, how long that'll take, it should be.
Cool.
All right?
Thank you.
Thanks for
Put a face to the voice, right?
Yeah.
I didn't catch the rest of your Tracy. Bonnie. Bonnie? Tracy. Nice to meet you. Bonnie? Nice to meet you. And
She's the one trying to get the order to me.
what's that?
I worked in the fire places in the top. White House was one of them. White House in Dover. That was one.
That's where I used to live.
Thank you.
Moving on to committee reports.
So I'll start for, I wasn't at the last planning board meeting, but I know that we are looking to start working on updating, again, going through the ordinances and working with Stratford Regional Plan to help with that. I think for the most part of this kind of time down, the only person we've seen in there is hotel, and I think we're done with Jeff, the company, and now we'll basically want her, and you were there, Kate, for the last meeting, yeah. So basically, we're just looking at trying to update some ordinances we've identified that we think could be good to have included next year.
You want to take it over for conservation? I wasn't there, this one was there.
Oh, no, that was not a meeting.
Actually, it's a pretty interesting meeting because
I came in like last minute.
recorded, and one was a, you go directly in my blog, one was cutting a brush and trees on
Yeah.
the lake. And I had assumed we had that process straightened out, that it was the code enforcement officer that was going to take care of those. But I'm not sure that that's the process. But Mike and Carl did go over there and take a look at it, so and I guess a complaint was filed.
We filed a complaint with the state.
I would like to know, if you don't have to answer me now, but I'd like to get that process straightened out so that it's clear what the Conservation Commission requires, who does what, when, I don't really want to be put in that. The Conservation Commission, and actually used to be on the shoreline permit. We were the ones that went and investigated, and they changed the zoning ordinance, so I thought it was the CEO that does that now. If you guys have any way to make that process clearer, so when Kim gets a call, or, you know, I don't want to be the one that makes the decision. I don't know what the process is, and going to be at. Because I also don't want the people in town that feel like nobody's doing anything for them. Hate that. We all hate that.
Yeah.
Right, so, and the idea is there. And the second complaint, was a ditch being dug across Essex Road, which I believe is the selectmen. Now, if I'm wrong there, please let me know and how we can correct these mistakes going forward, so it's clear.
That was on Piper, right?
It's on Piper, yeah.
Piper Mountain?
Yeah.
So it's, what's his name that lives up there? The one he's always digging the ditches up there. Yeah, so he did dig another one up there, because Carl and I went up there, and Carl supposedly talked to him last week, so.
Yeah, and so I'm also grateful that I took the time and Carl took the time to come speak to the Conservation Commission about these issues and processes that we can get straightened out going forward, especially when it comes to the summer and the lake. What was my next time to the thing was hard to be for that.
Does anybody know what's going on with the zoning? Hmm? Rick?
Maybe with the planning board next week.
There you go. Rick Bonnie?
So we had our third craft fair this weekend, and we had a great turnout. How many vendors? 23? 23 vendors, and the PTO and the watershed joined us. I want to say a huge shout out to my rec team. They are phenomenal. They're right there to help with everything. They did a really, really good job advertising and showing up for this and helping out wherever needed. And I think this was our best event yet. Really good fundraiser for us. We do.
Having all that more space out.
It did, because we were able to have a lot more vendors. We had like almost twice what we had in here. So we like it here because we have our rec room and we can use our kitchen. We don't have use of any of that over there, and but we did have some food. It was cold food because we couldn't use the kitchen or anything, where we might have had something hot here. But we made it work, and it turned out really well. We had a lot of great compliments and a lot of people ready to come back for our following. And then we have Candy Bar Bingo coming up. We had to change the date on that because that's also the date of the voting at the school. So, yeah.
So you haven't picked the date yet, Bonnie?
27th? I believe we're doing it now, right? It's June 27th. It's a Friday night. It will be 5:30?
6 to 8.
6 to 8.
And it'll be here.
Yeah, that'll be here. It'll be on the website and stuff. I have to get it put on the town calendar.
Anybody else? Affluent deductions?
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yep, the Affleck deductions actually started today out of the payroll. It's going to get billed once a month, so the first billing is going to come August 1st, July 1st for the June deductions. And if anybody
Do we
wants
have a
to
lot of
sign up.
employees that can get into that?
I think we have 4, but I got emailed that somebody else might be signing up on some too. So if anybody is interested in looking at the Affleck programs, I can give you Mark's information and he can go over all of that with different people.
I haven't signed up yet, but I need to.
Yeah. Get on that.
Stratford Regional Planning appointment?
Yeah, so I have reached out to Kate because we got an email from Megan Taylor from Stratford Regional Planning Commission. And currently Kate is our commissioner, but her term expired on May 31st. I did ask her prior to tonight if she would be willing to continue on as commissioner, and she so graciously said yes. So I am just looking for someone to nominate Kate.
Unless someone else.
I make a motion, I nominate Kate Bazard.
So wait, what? But there might be somebody else who wants to do that.
Nobody else is raising their hand.
Sorry, Kate, it's you.
Our records indicate that Kate Gazette Commissioner's term expires May 31st, 2025. We hope that she will continue on the commission as she has many valuable additions. So, yeah. So,
I will nominate Kate.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Kate.
Congratulations, Kate.
So we'll fill out the paperwork and get it back over to Megan. You don't have to worry about it. If I need to have your sign this because if I do, I'm going to have your sign. It just says, comes to my mom sometimes, so I don't think so. I think we're gonna.
We can do it without your signature. On the ground.
Yeah, I don't know what this is about. Who put this on the web?
So this was the one for
Silver.
Silver Street, 427 Silver Street with the logging going on.
Yes. So we want to move forward with having them bond the road?
That was the chief of police suggestion, just where they're coming out of there with heavy log trucks and the chippings and all that stuff. And if the road gets ruined, who's going to be at fault? We did have some damage over there as well, so.
That was the forest ranger, right?
Yep.
Find out, Robin. Can I put that on your to-do list to see how that one can be? Would be us to jump in on that one. Thank you.
I added while we were talking to Tony from Casella, the waste management, they had requested the quote. Did that go out for them?
I did not send it.
Okay. I only say that because even he was talking tonight that we should not be giving numbers, and that's how I feel. I think he should be able to make up his own number. That's how I feel. Like he should know. We've given him all the data regarding how many homes we have, and I don't know, there's got to be some formula for his business. That's how I view it. Okay. The town hall fire station, did everybody see it?
Looks great.
That's great.
Yeah, they were over there, they stole my grill Sunday, and they all were working on it, so Jared was doing awesome.
It looks really nice.
Yeah, the group effort, they come from the fire EMS, yeah, it's great.
I've had a few people already ask me, like, who we building, and I was like, they obviously don't come to this side of the town. Police part-time pay.
So this is gonna be tabled to next week because I don't have the number, so that's on me. If that's fine. I think you read this one right here. That one is the phone.
Oh, sorry, the phone.
That's okay, I don't need to talk.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're all ready, I see you.
Darn. So, my journey with Consolidated began in March. We didn't get, so it started with my police department hat. We had Ethernet port that we needed to work to, that would allow the phone to work. And it took us until mid-April to get that done. Well, I was hoping to, because I am new to difficulty of dealing with Consolidated, I was trying to get all the things that we needed to do all together and try to do them at once. That didn't happen. So, the police department, thankfully, is good, I believe. However, while on my journey with Consolidated, I learned that the fire chief needs a telephone for his office, and we also need a telephone here at the old town hall. Unfortunately, they are, I'm going to read this off my paper so that I don't misspeak. Let's see here. Basically, the system that we have now is on a banana peel. It's moving out. They have a new program called ProConnect, and So they won't add services to the system we have now, so they won't give us new phones or put in new, and we can't buy new phones. So the only way we can get all the phones where we need them is to change to their new program that they have. I was told, so these, I'm going to read you a couple direct quotes. They're in the email packet that I sent you. It says, the overall goal would be to renew you on our ProConnect platform, deploy new PolyEdge ePhones, provide more functionality, and either keep cost neutral, if not save a bit in the process. But he did mention that some of this might need to be done with certified computers, and I don't know if that would have any cost to us. I asked them if there would be any cost up front, and I was told there would be no setup charges to worry about. We'd swap things out and get you migrated to the new platform.
Even for here in the chief's office? I would think those would need.
I would, well, I know, well, if I could have got a phone, because I take it and I messed around a little bit with the phone that we had, that we were trying to get to work in the police department, and I could plug it into the fire chief's office and it would work.
Oh.
So it didn't need a new anything, I just needed a phone, but they wouldn't even sell me a phone because, well, that and those phones are also, the whole thing is just, it's headed out the door. The town, I don't believe there's an Ethernet port in this building where, here.
My understanding was there used to be a phone in here and people were making long distance calls and stuff and it was taken out. So I'm assuming that was before it was redone in here. Because I have not seen a,
I was going to say, I have never seen that.
no, I have not. So,
I don't know anything about that. I just know what was that they said they were. There was talk about wanting a phone here in this building because obviously the one in the fire chief's office wouldn't be accessible all the time. It would only be accessible if he was here. Again, they told me that there was no upfront cost. I'm assuming to replace what we have, because my thing to them was, I'm like, we're a small town. We don't need this, we don't need any more than what we already have. What we have suits our needs fine, we just need additional places. But they can no longer do that.
So I guess, so what I would recommend, Tony, maybe is to find out, so we know that the phone would work in the chief's office, so that's all there, the plug is there, whatever. No, I'm not saying put a phone over.
Yeah,
So
I know.
But my thought was is like maybe step one or the first one would be to say, okay, to move to the new program, or, you know, to go to the current program or whatever, and replace the phones, and that would be getting an additional phone for the chief's office. What's the cost? There should, from what I'm hearing from you, there should be no cost. If anything, it would be the same or lower.
That, and I have emailed paper that he sent me proof, so if that's not what it is, then.
And so if that's the case, that task, that would not probably have to include, CCS. That would not have to include CCS, right? So
I think.
Right, so that's what we want to confirm that. So then the next, so I
I'm
guess,
guessing not. It's a voice over IP. If
Right.
you moved one phone into the chief's office and it worked, then it should.
What I don't know is if the new phones work on the current wiring system that we have, and that's what I was going to say when you were like,
Yeah.
is that, yes, the phones that we have now, if I took one, I could take any phone from the building, I could go in chief's office, plug it in, it'll work.
Yeah.
I also have managed to get administrative access online so I can access all of our phones and see which phones are where and how they're labeled, and how I actually just fixed a forwarding number for someone today and reset their PIN. So that was nice to be able to get in to do that. And again, and I don't know what's going to happen with this new program, how it's going to shift everything.
so that would be my recommendation if the board is fine with that, is to go forward and say, if we're just going to replace our existing phones and add one for the police, for the fire chief. What are we looking at? You know what I mean? Do we have to have CSC or what? CCS come in, you know, if we have to, or do they have to, and then what do they need to do? We need a cost associated with that, because they're not going to
Do we have any computer nerds here? Because the specific sentence says, I also believe that you would, you work with Kate at Certified Computer Solutions, who might be able to assist you with the new data drop you're looking for. I don't know what that means.
Or just ask her, go back and say, we've implemented that problem.
That's
That's what I would do, because I don't necessarily know, I don't know the phone lingo either, but
The data drop, that could be like, whenever I get a voice message, it goes into my email. So that information goes into an email as a.
But I can do that administratively through the portal. Okay, so yeah, that was the only thing. My guess would be, if he's saying that there's no upfront cost, is that cost would be referring to adding the one over here in Old Town Hall.
and that's just a phone. So, I mean, that should be just a phone, because we've got the port that you can plug into.
Okay, okay.
So then I think I guess maybe the next step would be, or potentially the next part would be, is what would it take if we wanted to have a phone installed in Town Hall here? And again, I guess, like, to Bonnie's concern, if anybody's concern, is the accessibility to it for someone who's in here, you know. Because technically, the idea would be to have it for, say, 911 purposes. That would be, that's it.
Well, do we have an old phone jack in here?
That's what I'm saying.
Literally,
There used to be, but I don't know.
Still call 911.
I can ask John Mullen about that.
Okay. I wouldn't know where it was.
So if that's the case, because that's really all my thought would be, is the only reason we would want phone kitchen is for 911 purposes, if somebody was having a gathering and something happens. I mean, granted, most everyone can have a cell phone, but we would want to just maybe potentially have that.
Okay.
Well, where that used to be.
That's what I would recommend. I don't know what you guys, your thoughts are. I mean,
Yeah, definitely, if it's going to be more money, I would want to quote on that.
right.
And that's why he specifically said it shouldn't be any more costs. I'm like, okay, I've got this in writing, this is what you sent me. So basically, he wanted to connect me with someone, I don't know, a retention representative who can work up a proposal for you. So, to see what the new design would look like. And so, I'm already thinking, you know, like I said, I told them, we're just a tiny town, we don't need more. I'm not sure what this will entail, but supposedly it's not supposed to cost us anything.
So, right, so when you would ask them for that quote, so we're looking for at least the services we have now, we don't.
Yeah.
But there may be something like, oh, when we get that, we have to have this because that's how it is. But it's like, well, we have to pay for that.
Right, well, that's why he had put that the cost, to keep the costs the same or potentially less, and then I asked if there were upfront costs, and he said, no, there weren't any. So, because the whole deal is that in order, like, it's hard to ask them questions and then get back a hold of them and wait, and so that's why, you know, it's easier to get as much information, permission as possible before I move forward.
So have we answered what you're looking for?
I think so. I'm guessing you want me to try and ask about what the data drop is.
Yes.
And ask about a proposal.
Yeah.
Perfect. And if the new phones can work off of the old lines. If they have to rewire the building, I would imagine there's costs associated with that. And you can write in an email, it shouldn't, it's not going to.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too, because if it has to be done through CCS, it's not consolidated.
Yeah.
I already know that it will cost more. That's why when he mentioned Katie, I'm like,
Right, so.
That was a red flag for me.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, thank you for getting the phones running and labeled and email available and all that.
It's nice to have a big gap in the name.
came off a few years, yeah.
I still have the other names for you guys on my sideboard, so that hasn't changed yet. Yeah, I know.
Any board comments?
Um,
Public comment?
I have a question.
Sure.
I was sitting around on it, I believe it was May 12th, and I believe Jimmy came up with the highway department. Now they want to add on to the fire department, another 80 feet.
The highway department. Yeah.
When is it going to be meeting or something like that?
They're, what, starting a committee or asked us if we could start a committee. I don't think anything
I don't think
has
anything
gone from there.
said yet. They were just looking to start a committee and
I thought we were putting $10,000 a year away to build a building with it, for all the highway departments out of town. Is that still?
The money's still going in there.
Money is still going?
Mhm.
So are they going to take that money to build on that instead?
They had talked about moving that over and using the cell phone money to continue on with, any bonding.
Like, yeah, they want to add on to this one?
Only that one. Yeah, nothing, they talked about nothing going on. Yep.
So there's nothing come up, they're going to get a committee and vote on
Hmm?
that? Oh, so-
Just like preliminary. I can't.
Preliminary.
Can't talk today.
Preliminary.
You're welcome. Andrea?
The special election,
June 25th.
supervisors and checklists are needed ballot clerks. You also need to split them the supervisor and checklist seat.
I thought you had three.
We have two. We have two seats falling.
Okay.
Funny.
They won't let me too cold.
You know, John is volunteering.
We're gonna do away. So the question is, will they have absentee ballots available?
You have to ask the school, we're gonna say, yeah.
I know, but I mean, legally they should.
I would agree.
That's not on us.
Okay.
So go to the school board meeting in
Yeah,
2
we've
weeks.
been going, yeah, so we'll do that, and if that doesn't work, we'll call the attorney general's office, because
You
that's,
have to talk to the school clerk,
okay.
who would handle that, the same as like town clerk, handles the election stuff, so I would reach out to the school clerk.
Okay, thanks.
But I guess they would have to have, it's basically the same RSAs that,
Right.
that we pay a primary use the same RSAs for that.
Thanks.
Kate?
Are we making any progress on the new accounting program that we appropriated money for?
Yeah, well, we've been put on, we've reached out to them and asked to be put on the schedule. We're not going to be
What are you
scheduled.
looking at? What program are you looking
It's through MRI.
MRI.
MRS, I think they go by that too, but MRI. So,
at? So the question is.
We're waiting till after the audit anyway, which will be mid-July.
The next question is, that junkyard license application, was that an extension, was it a new one?
It's just a renewal.
Yeah, for
Where?
91 Kings Highway.
The only one we have in town.
It's
Two quick things I want to add.
the website, the GIS link is on there. Then showed me the other day, you go to the links and then assessment. You click on that and you'll see the maps.
It's
Love to get some feedback on that too. And the second thing is I talked to Tim about getting access to the website. He was going to talk to you guys about it because I guess I'm talking to he needs 2 at a time. So I'm not sure. I know he was going to talk to you guys about it. I don't know if it's going to be tonight or whatever. Please, yeah, make sure because I'd really like to put some that on there.
So we'll put that on the agenda for next week's focus. The discussion for access to the. Sounds like 2 weeks all the time versus 1. Is that what I understood?
It's 2 at a time, I guess. Right now it's Kim and Tim.
And I find students who are actually doing that. They have
Only two
more.
people can have access?
No, two more.
Oh, okay.
It says it's one more me.
Oh, right, so the next thing would be like you and somebody else. Okay, yeah.
Pretty sure that's what it is.
That's what the town website has.
Well, I don't know what that entails.
Okay, we'll find it out too.
Anybody else? Thanks for hanging out till 8:08.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thanks for coming.